Hi everyone, we are Lab L2J Group 5, and today we will be presenting our PyCar model. Here is a quick breakdown of our group's member contributions. So to begin, my name is Henry, and I primarily worked on the layer selection. Here you can see we went with 3 convolution layers and 3 dense layers. Pooling layers and a flattened layer are also included to condense the size of the model. The number of filters/neurons is also decreasing between each subsequent layer as to improve the final prediction. The actual values of 64, 32, and 16 for the convolution layers and 256 and 128 for the dense layers were determined after various trials and comparing their validation losses. These values were based in powers of 2 since it was most compatible with the hardware. And for the activation functions, we chose to include tanh, sigmoid, and ReLU in that order due to their dimensions, with tanh having all of the x and y coordinates, to only positive x and y for sigmoid, and then only positive x for ReLU. And so after a lot of trial and error, we found this combination of factors to produce our best model. And I will pass it off to Amelia to talk about our final data that we used.
Hi, I'm Amelia, and I worked primarily on data analysis and model testing, and I'm going to talk about the data that we used. So for our project, we used 16,000 images in total to account for a wide variety of scenarios. 10,000 of these images were used for training, and the remaining 6,000 were used for testing. The dataset we used was a combination of 2 sets, the first one having a capture rate of 40 and a speed of 50. This higher data capture rate and speed allowed for more data being collected and led to more advanced training with better decision making and improved accuracy. The second set had a capture rate of 25 and a speed of 40. This lower capture rate and speed allowed for more detailed data collection and more precise turns. So I'm going to pass it off to Johnny to talk about the hyperparameters.
Hey, my name is Johnny, and I focused on the hyperparameters and model testing for our project. So as you can see below, we used a learning rate of 0.001. And for the learning rate, we experimented with a lot of different values because since learning rate is so dependent to the specific data set and model architecture of these data sets, we found that 0.001 was the most effective one to use. And similarly, we found that an epoch value of 20 gave us the most accurate results with the lowest validation loss. And we experimented with values such as 50 and even 100, but we found that in the higher epoch value ranges, we got a lot more overfitting, and this would lead to inaccuracies in our model prediction. And finally, we used an optimizer. We used the Atom optimizer for our model, and we chose this over the SGD, the gradient descent modifier, because the Atom optimizer, it dynamically adjusts the learning rate for each parameter compared to the SGD optimizer, which uses a fixed learning rate. And we found that this gave us the lowest validation loss values. And I'll pass this off to Zara, who will be talking about the validation loss.
Hi, my name is Zara, and I mainly worked on model testing. I'm going to discuss our validation loss and model size. These images were taken from our best trained model, which had a size of 6,074 kilobytes. The image on the top right showcases the last 10 epoch values, which were all under 10. These last 10 epoch values averaged out to have a validation loss of 4.8489, with our best validation loss being 2.6184. Now I'm going to pass it on to Henry, who will show you some demonstrations of our model.
Thank you. Here we have a demonstration of our model in PyCar Simulator obtaining a score of 100 on an original track. And this video here is a short clip of our model on the actual PyCar. That concludes our presentation. Thank you guys for listening.